Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we're going to find out who would win in a fight between the Flash villain, Mirror Master, and the Spider-Man villain, The Spot.
Yeah, and of course, this episode is in lead up to our team duel, where we're going to find out who's going to win between the Flash Rogues and the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yeah, that's supposed to be episode 325. Actually, this episode right now is episode 325, and I'm going to be going out of town this week, so next week is actually going to be a review of Batman the Doom that came to Gotham, so the team duel actually won't be until episode 327, 2 weeks from now. Sorry about that, guys. The schedule got mixed up somewhere, and then all of a sudden I had to take a trip.
It's close enough.
Yeah, it'll work. But we're going to find out who's going to win between these characters later on this episode. Before that, we're going to break down the comic book movie news to come out this past week, including the set photos that have revealed the first look at Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, and the news that Disney executive Victoria Alonso has been fired from Marvel Studios.
A lot of drama this past week for both Disney and Warner Brothers.
Yeah, with like The Rock and everything.
Yeah.
Like
what's going on?
Apparently sabotaging Shazam.
We're not going to talk about that because it's not really that newsworthy, but that was weird.
As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
For those of you who listen to our recent episodes, you'll know that our duel simulator has become so advanced that it's gained sentience and has named itself the artificial life form for running extensive duels, just a rather very intelligent simulator 9000, or Alfred Jarvis 9000. He has a quick message for our listeners, so let's hear it.
Why, hello there. Do you love listening and chatting about Marvel and DC? Then become a part of the Dynamic Duel community on Patreon, where you can choose from 3 tiers. The Dynamic 2.0 tier lets you listen to this podcast without ads and gives you access to its Discord chat group, where you can chat with Johnny DC and Marvelous Joe. The Fantastic 4 tier gives you that and more, with 2 bonus episodes each month, including bloopers and top 10 shows where Johnny and Joe count down your favourite Marvel and DC subjects. And finally, the X-Force tier makes you an executive producer of Dynamic Duel, where every month you help the host choose what to review and who to fight against each other. Check it out at patreon.com/dynamicduel. Pip pip cheerio.
Thanks, AJ9000, and thanks to everyone who supports the podcast, including our newest patron, Caden. Thank you very much for joining the Dynamic Duel community, and be sure to join us on Discord. But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize. A No Prize is an award Marvel used to give out to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on Instagram and in our email newsletter for the person that we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week. Last week, we asked, who do you think should be the villain of James Gunn's Superman Legacy film, and why? We got quite a few answers, so let's break down our honorable mentions before revealing this week's No Prize winner. Our first honorable mention goes to Colby Henches, who said,
"Hey boys, Colby Henches. The villain for the upcoming Superman Legacy movie should be Midnighter and Apollo. It sets up the Authority movie, and it's the classic superheroes fight before they team up to fight Lex Luthor, who's revealed at the end as the big bad. But most of the movie, Superman versus Midnight and Apollo."
So when I first heard the news that the Authority was going to be a project that would stem out of Superman Legacy, I automatically assumed that Midnighter and Apollo were going to be the bad guys of Superman Legacy, with the Authority sort of taking on the role of the Elite, which was this team of superheroes that was introduced in, I think it was Action Comics number 775, that just really tried to show Superman as this like archaic boy Blue Scout who was not a hero meant to be a part of this modern world. And of course, Superman kind of showed them that, hey, I could be if I wanted to. They made a movie about this. I think it was called Superman versus the Elite.
Yeah, it was an animated film.
Right.
Yeah, it would kind of kill 2 birds with one stone in that it would set up these characters from the Authority and lead into their own film down the line.
Right. The characters are very dark and very harsh. They're great foils for a very bright-natured Superman. So I think it could work. The only issue I have with it is that I would hate to see the Authority form before the Justice League in this new universe.
Yeah, I still don't know how that's going to play out, but we'll see. Great answer, Colby. Our next honorable mention goes to Miggy Matanguihan, who said,
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Miggy, and I would love to see Metallo or Parasite on the big screen, but I don't think they could carry a whole movie, and they're usually connected to Luthor, and let's skip him for a movie. Brainiac would be cool, but I think he's more of a sequel or Justice League villain. So I would go with Bruno Mannheim, so we could set up Darkseid in the future and have some great sci-fi action. It could also showcase Superman's kindness by having him show mercy to intergang members.
So I like Intergang as a villain group for Superman in Metropolis. It worked really well in the cartoon, I thought. Of course, we recently saw Intergang in Black Adam, so I'm not sure if we would need to see them again so soon in this upcoming project. But honestly, the sooner we get to Darkseid, the more like we could kind of pick up those feelings as DC fans of what we lost without Zack Snyder's vision of his universe and his plans realized.
Yeah, you'd think that eventually they'll work their way toward the story of Darkseid and Apocalypse and New Genesis and all that. And starting to plant the seeds now, I think would pay off big dividends later, in the same way that we got just little hints at Thanos before finally getting to see him and his full potential in the MCU.
Right, exactly, with like the Infinity Stones.
Right.
Great answer, Miggy. Our final honorable mention goes to Brandon Estergard, who said,
Hey guys, I think that Manchester Black, played by Alfie Allen from Game of Thrones, and Lex Luthor, played by Stanley Tucci, would be an amazing duo to go up against the new Superman, and they would also be great recurring characters.
yeah, Alfie Allen would not make a terrible Manchester Black. I think he definitely has that like rock star kind of swagger to him. And of course, Manchester Black was the leader of the Elite, who we mentioned earlier.
What do you think of Stanley Tucci as Lex Luthor?
I think he's a little bit old, but he's a fantastic actor. I know he could definitely nail the role, though I think I would prefer to see someone younger and closer to Superman's age.
I'm going to have to check out this Action Comics 775 because I hear it talked about time and time again as one of the best like single issue Superman stories to have ever come out.
Yeah, I think it was like Wizard Magazine once listed it as their number one single issue of all time. It was good. I used to own it, actually. I thought you read it.
Nope.
Well, you should have then. We want to give a quick shout out to Matt Lamb for taking the time to visit our website and record an answer. But the winner of this week's No Prize is Ken Johnson, who said,
Hey guys, it's Ken. For the villain, I think they should go with Brainiac. Specifically because the reasons you guys brought up about having Superman be of two worlds, having Brainiac be the representation of hubris by the Kryptonians, and then coming and showing Superman his world, where it could end, and where his earthly life does. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, previously Miggy Matanguihan said that he would prefer that Brainiac was the villain for a sequel or a Justice League film, but I have to disagree because Brainiac is or can be so tied into Superman's origin story. And if you're going to reboot Superman with potentially a new origin, I think this is the perfect opportunity to use Brainiac, especially since he's probably Superman's biggest villain that we have yet to see in a theatrical live-action film.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think Brainiac should be a part of Superman's origin always. I think that's the most interesting the character gets is, when he confronts Superman and reveals to him that he was partly responsible for the destruction of Krypton.
And as Ken Johnson mentioned, I think the whole dichotomy of Superman's origin that's going to be explored in this new James Gunn film, I think those themes tie in really well to Brainiac also.
Absolutely. Fantastic answer, Ken Johnson. You win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on in this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week. And don't forget, we will be posting everyone's answer to our Discord for discussion.
But with that out of the way,
on to the news. Okay, so this past week, Todd Phillips was filming exterior shots for the Joker sequel, Joker Folie à Deux, which revealed Lady Gaga in her Harley Quinn costume of sorts. I still remember when we first were introduced to Joaquin Phoenix's look as the Joker. It was like the day before they were also planning some exterior shots like on a train, and they wanted to get ahead of those potential leaks that would happen by revealing official test screening footage of him as the character. And I thought that was really cool. I'm kind of sad they didn't do that with Harley Quinn, but these set photos are also really incredible. She really stands out amongst the crowd. It looks like it's going to be a scene where police are escorting the character up to a courthouse or something like that. But there's a ton of people all around her, and she's like flipping them off and smiling and shaking her fist and stuff like that. But Gaga herself is definitely the standout of the photos. She's dressed in this bright red diamond quilted business jacket with a diamond black and white blouse beneath that and a black skirt with diamond patterned stockings. She has like this really bright yellow hair that's just slicked back. And most interestingly, I think, is that she kind of borrowed Joaquin's diamond makeup around her eyes, except hers are a little bit more sharp and they're black. It's a really interesting look.
Yeah, it's a very unique look to the character of Harley Quinn, one that we've not really seen before, but I think is fitting within this Elseworlds world that was set up with the first Joker film. Because, you know, Joaquin's character, the Joker, doesn't really look like any version of the character we've seen in the comic books either.
No, he most closely resembles, I guess, Heath Ledger's Joker with some added makeup. But his mannerism as the character is pretty different. He, of course, gave a tour de force performance as the Joker. And just based on what I'm seeing of Lady Gaga, I'm already like blown away just by still photographs of her. Just like the presence that she commands as she's walking amongst all of these people. And even comparing that to what we've seen from earlier set photos of Lady Gaga as Dr. Harleen Quinzel, she's much more doe-like and meek in her like just facial expressions than she is when she's Harley Quinn. It looks like it's going to be an amazing transformation between these two characters, almost like Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent and Superman different.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I could see that. And you'd have to imagine that her experience as a music performer on stage in front of, you know, thousands of people lends a lot to her confidence in these types of scenes with large groups of people.
Well, I know she like studied theater in school. I'm not the biggest Lady Gaga fan, so I don't know much about her, but I think I remember hearing that she studied theater. Like she wanted to be an actress initially, but then she just kind of like landed on the music scene. And now that she's making her way back to acting, she's definitely displaying everything she's capable of doing as a performer.
It's interesting that these exterior scenes seem to show her going up courthouse steps, but, you know, she's not in a prison jumpsuit or anything like that, so she's not on trial here. It seems more like she's giving a deposition and providing testimony for the character of the Joker. Although you would think that her credibility would be easy to denounce on the witness stand.
Yeah, totally. I'm definitely curious to see where this scene takes us. I think it'll be very interesting. But with Lady Gaga in the role as Harley Quinn, that brings us to our question of the week. If you could cast any musician as a character in a live-action Marvel or DC film, who would you cast and what role would they play?
Not currently existing, so no Harry Styles as Star Fox or anything like that. Record your answers at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message could be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and award that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to Instagram and our email newsletter. Be sure to answer before April 1st. In other news, some drama behind the scenes at Marvel Studios as Disney has fired Victoria Alonso, who is one of the longtime producers and executive producers of the MCU's films. She's been there since the beginning, since the very first Iron Man, and now she has been let go. Allegedly, it's because she produced another movie called Argentina 1985 that was actually Oscar nominated. But according to the Hollywood Reporter sources, that was a breach of contract in that she was not able to work for competing studios outside of Disney.
Yeah, let alone promote them.
Right, which she did a lot of, and that just didn't rub Disney the right way. Now, Victoria Alonso contends Disney's story by saying that she actually had permission to work on this movie, but, you know, it's a case of he said, she said at this point. But there are like a lot of rumors going around, and it's really unclear how much of this is like a smear campaign on behalf of the studio in order to save face. Because people are also saying that Victoria Alonso, as the head of the visual effects in her role at Marvel Studios, was responsible for a lot of the vitriol that has been brought up by the VFX studios and that they're being overworked and underpaid.
Yeah, essentially like she's being held accountable for a lot of the bad decision making and poor publicity surrounding Marvel's visual effects in recent films, like MODOK, for example.
Right. This could all either be true, or it could even be possible that Disney is using Victoria Alonso as a scapegoat to help cover the poor performance of some of their recent movies and kind of save face in front of investors, showing that there are being changes made behind the scenes to cover, like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's poor box office performance.
And that's some action, because Victoria Alonso has been touted as essentially Kevin Feige's right-hand man.
It's said that Kevin Feige didn't have any kind of say within this termination, that he felt that his hands were largely tied. Who knows? It's a hard story to comment on because there's a lot of hearsay. But it is important news. It's definitely the biggest shakeup behind the scenes of Marvel Studios since its inception.
I know, with like all of DC's executive upheaval in recent years, finally we get some Marvel drama. Bad time.
But that does it for all the news for this episode. Let's go ahead and get into our main event, where we find out who would win in a fight between the Flash villain Mirror Master and the Spider-Man villain, The Spot. All right, Mirror Master versus Spot. Again, this is in lead up to our upcoming team duel, which will pit the Flash Rogues against the Brotherhood of Mutants, which I'm really looking forward to. That's going to happen in 2 weeks. Mirror Master being a prominent member of the Flash's Rogues Gallery.
Right. But of course, this is also in lead up to the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse film that's coming out later this year, in which the Spot is the main antagonist.
Supposedly, yes. Sony released some pretty kick-ass concept art showing Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy fighting the Spot. I think it's going to be really cool on the big screen like that. And the Spot's power set is totally fitting for a movie about dimensional hopping.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the Spot other than what I've seen in the Spider-Man cartoon that was around in the 90s.
Yeah, that version of the Spot was actually really damn dorky. And I guess the character kind of started out that way, but since then he's become like a cold, silent killer, and I'm absolutely here for it. He went crazy for a while, being trapped in the Spotted dimension. I'll tell you all about it when I get into his backstory.
Well, Mirror Master is also a cold, crazy killer, so this is a highly appropriate match, I think. Both of them do some dimension hopping. Both of them are quite lethal, so it'll be interesting to see how this match goes down.
I don't even know what Mirror Master's power set is. I know that he can like trap you in mirrors or something.
Yeah, you'll find out. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and turn to our sentient duel simulator, Alfred Jarvis 9000. AJ, tell our listeners about how you go about determining a winner in our duel matchups.
Yes, of course, sir. The way I determine a winner between the contestants is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using the character's statistics. A Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling. In this case, I randomize the statistics along a normal distribution as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters are based on the official Marvel power grid from which the DC characters' statistics are extrapolated. Additional stat categories are included such as range, damage potential, versatility and perception in order to create a more detailed and accurate simulation. The results of the 1,000 simulations provide a percentage of wins for each character. The contestant with the higher percentage is declared the victor, as they have a higher probability to win any given battle. In an equitable pairing, neither character should win 100% of the matches. The comic book stories have shown that there's even a way for Batman to defeat Superman, so the confidence rate of my method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the source material. My mathematical simulations are without subjectivity or bias. Feats are not the sole consideration, nor are fan votes tabulated for determination of the winner.
Thanks, AJ9000. Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations would play out beat for beat.
And I believe it's my turn to go first with the DC character's backstory, so let me tell you all about Mirror Master. Now, the original Mirror Master was a man named Samuel Scudder, a simple burglar who was forced to kill a woman by smashing her to death with a mirror after she caught him in the middle of a home invasion.
Jeez.
Thanks to the forensic work of Central City forensic scientist Barry Allen, aka The Flash, who you can learn more about in our Flash vs. Quicksilver episode, Sam Scudder was eventually caught, arrested, and imprisoned. While in prison, Sam was put to work making mirrors. After accidentally mixing the wrong reflective elements for the glass backing, Sam was ordered to throw the strange mirror away, but he kept it and learned to use its special and seemingly mystical properties for a variety of effects, including creating duplicates of objects and even people. With the duplicates under his control, Sam was able to perform burglaries while behind bars, gathering resources to form a costume and villainous identity known as Mirror Master. One of the people Sam duplicated was the Flash, however, resulting in the Flash intervening and defeating him. Over time in prison, Sam determined that by angling several mirrors, he could see a reflection of a mirror world, another dimension, which he was able to enter and escape prison. Unable to leave the mirror world, however, Sam reached out to the Flash through mirrors in the hope that the Flash would be able to help him get back. Sam's plan worked, but the Flash simply returned him to prison upon his return. Sam and several other members of the Flash's recurring rogues gallery were later brought together by Gorilla Grodd in order to distract the Flash while he enacted a plan to take over the world. Though Grodd's plan failed, the rogues decided to form a villains club to increase their chances of success in their heists and against the Flash. In one of their team's escapades, Sam created an illusion that made Kid Flash believe that Sam had killed his mentor the Flash. Enraged, Kid Flash nearly beat Sam to death, though the Flash was able to reveal Sam's illusion to Kid Flash and calm him down, and the unconscious Sam was taken back to prison. In addition to being a member of the Rogues, Sam was also a founding member of the Injustice Gang and the Secret Society of Supervillains. During the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, Sam was put on a team led by Lex Luthor to prevent the Owen scientist Krona from glimpsing the beginning of time, an act that fractured the universe. Sam, Icicle, and Maldor, the Dark Lord, made it to Krona's viewing screen, but failed at destroying it before succumbing to a booby trap that killed all three of them. Sam's equipment that he used as Mirror Master was used by Captain Boomerang for a time before it eventually came into the possession of the FBI, who would later give it to a Scottish mercenary named Evan McCulloch. Evan was an orphan given up by wealthy parents who felt they were too young to raise him. At age 8, when one of the orphans tried to molest him, Evan drowned him, holding his head underwater as Evan could only stare at his own reflection. Evan ran away from the orphanage right after, living on his own and eventually turning to a life of crime in order to earn money. Becoming a renowned hitman and assassin, Evan accidentally carried out a hit on his own father. Upon realizing what he had done, he attended the funeral and saw his mother, whom he attempted to approach for days. When he worked up the nerve, it was too late, as she had already committed suicide. Wow. Distraught and ready to turn himself into the authorities, the American FBI found and recruited him instead to assassinate high-profile targets that they were legally not allowed to. Evan became the new Mirror Master, given the initial task of scaring Animal Man into giving up his staunch animal rights stance, though Animal Man's wife prevented Evan from succeeding. When Evan refused the FBI's orders to kill Animal Man's wife and children, Animal Man helped Evan locate his FBI handlers, whom Evan ended up killing. Now working as a supervillain for hire, Evan eventually moved to Keystone City, where he found Sam Scudder's old notes from when he was Mirror Master, which led Evan to rediscover the Mirror World. Evan used the Mirror World to stalk an old girlfriend that had once turned him into the police, but the Flash stopped him from getting revenge on her. The original Rogues team later reformed and welcomed Evan as Sam Scudder's official successor, though it wasn't long before they all died when accidentally and unknowingly summoning the demon Neuron from Hell. The Flash was able to bring them back to life, after which Evan was hired by Lex Luthor to join his version of the Injustice Gang to take on the Justice League of America, though Evan quit the team when Batman offered to triple what Lex Luthor was paying him. Evan joined a new incarnation of the Rogues led by the villain Blacksmith, who ordered Evan to kill Pied Piper's parents, which he did disguised as Pied Piper himself. You can learn more about Pied Piper in his duel episode against Songbird. When Blacksmith's plan to kill the Flash failed, Evan left her team and rejoined the original Rogues, during which time he developed a cocaine addiction. After being captured and forced to join the Suicide Squad, Evan managed to blackmail his way off the team after taking incriminating photos of several superheroes. After rejoining the Rogues, he and the others were tricked by the villain Inertia into killing Bart Allen, a young hero who had recently taken up the mantle of the Flash. The Rogues eventually got their revenge, and not long after, Barry Allen returned as the Flash. In post-Flashpoint continuity, Sam Scudder was once again Mirror Master, who, along with the other Rogues, underwent a secret procedure that merged their weapons into their bodies. In Sam's case, his mirror gun. When the procedure went wrong and caused an explosion, Sam became trapped in the mirror world as a result, and his girlfriend, Captain Cold's sister Lisa Snart, who was also hit by the explosion, lost her physical form. Sam, Lisa, and the other affected Rogues tried to get revenge on Captain Cold for encouraging them to undergo the procedure, though Captain Cold and the Flash were eventually able to help reverse it. Now, powers-wise, Mirror Master wields a mirror gun, and his suit is equipped with mirror technology that allows him to create illusions, often copies of himself or others, and bend light, allowing him to be invisible. He can transform people and objects into glass, after which he can easily shatter them. With his mirrors, he could observe events of the past within the area of observation, and he can use any reflective surface to enter the mirror world, which he uses to teleport from one location to another or trap people within the mirror world dimension. From his gun, he could shoot lasers or create mirror portals. And that's Mirror Master.
Seems like a random assortment of grab bag powers somewhat related to mirrors.
It gets even more random than that. That's just like the main things he can do, but there's a lot of other feats I've seen him do that are pretty bonkers, like turning Animal Man into a mirror so that like whoever he touched, he would become that person.
What? That doesn't make any sense. So all of his powers are magic based, essentially, because of the mystical qualities of the chemicals that the original Mirror Master used.
Yeah, I think you could probably argue that his powers are mystic based, because I have no idea what technology he's using if it wasn't.
Interesting. And that would actually be a good way to kind of rationalize the seeming randomness of his abilities, I think.
Yeah. He's also known to do a lot of like hypnotism with his mirrors. Not quite sure how, but I think it's more of an illusion-based thing where he just tricks people into doing things.
Okay, well, the Spot is much more clearly defined and honestly a fascinating character, much more fascinating than I think a lot of people give him credit for. He's kind of like a C-list or D-list villain of Spider-Man, but in recent years, I think they've used him much better, realizing that potential. Let me tell you about his backstory. So very little is known about Jonathan Owen's early history, save that he had a son named Wyatt Owen with an ex-wife, and that he received his doctorate degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. It was there that he was roommates with a man named Quentin Beck, a brilliant fellow engineer who would one day go on to become Mysterio, a Spider-Man villain you can learn more about in our Scarecrow vs. Mysterio Duel episode. Following a similar path, Jonathan began working as a scientist in New York City for Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime, who had become a regular villain to New York's street-level heroes. After one of the Kingpin's superpowered henchmen lost in a fight against the heroes Cloak and Dagger, the Kingpin turned to Jonathan to find a way to develop superhuman powers for a replacement henchman, and you can learn more about Kingpin in our episode where we pit him against the Penguin. Inspired by Cloak of Cloak and Dagger, Jonathan experimented to find a way to create a portal to the Dark Force dimension as a means to replicate that hero's power. And we pit Cloak and Dagger against the Wonder Twins in a previous duel that you can check out later. But while working late one night in his lab, Jonathan managed to successfully create a dark circular portal to an alternate dimension. The amount of energy required to create the portal, however, was so great that it began to drain the city's power grid, causing Manhattan to experience an electrical blackout. The portal began destabilizing due to the lab equipment's weakening electrical power, and with Jonathan's uncertainty he would ever be able to get the portal back, he stepped into it right as the power went out at his lab. He blacked out and woke up floating weightlessly in what he assumed was the Dark Force dimension, but turned out to be composed of both light and darkness, called the Spotted Dimension, which was a crossroads full of infinite portals across dimensional space. Jonathan slipped back through his original portal and found himself back in his lab, but having undergone a radical transformation. His entire body, head to toe, was bleached white and covered in dozens of black spots that Jonathan discovered were movable portals that he could manipulate around him. Realizing that he had made himself into the Kingpin's next superpowered villain, Jonathan confronted Spider-Man and the Black Cat, though when he announced himself, he couldn't think of a supervillain name better than Spot. This caused Spider-Man to fall to the ground in hysterics, but Jonathan defeated both heroes using misdirection via his portals and warned them to leave the Kingpin alone. You can learn more about Spider-Man and Black Cat in their duels against Blue Beetle and Batwoman, respectively. Jonathan lost his second fight with Spider-Man when Spidey tricked him into removing too many of the portals from his body, leaving himself with none for defense. Aggrieved by his loss, Jonathan helped form a small supervillain group called the Spider-Man Revenge Squad, because again, he was just so great with names. But the team was defeated. He was later captured by a greedy corporation called the Gideon Trust, who used him to open a portal into the Negative Zone in order to exploit its natural resources. However, the Fantastic Four, who were trapped in the Negative Zone at the time, were able to put a stop to it. Though it appeared that Jonathan died while being held captive, he showed up again later to help the villain called Tombstone escape from prison, who thanked Jonathan by snapping his neck and killing him.
Jeez.
Curiously, Jonathan showed up again, meeting with other lesser-known villains about the organization Hydra's partnership with the mysterious Hand Ninjas, who were killing off obscure bad guys. Jonathan himself was killed by the Hand, only to be resurrected alongside the rest of their victims as brainwashed agents of Hydra, and he helped an all-out assault on the international law enforcement agency SHIELD that brought down an entire helicarrier. Jonathan was taken out by Wolverine during the battle, however, again, seemingly killed. He resurfaced later as a part of a supervillain group led by MODOK, though he was attacked by the Mandarin, who used his black light ring to send Jonathan into the spotted dimension, where he became trapped for a time since he did not go there on his own volition and could not find his way back. After going mad in his isolation, he managed to return home by focusing on his son Wyatt and finding the right portal to return back. Jonathan then served as a henchman for Mr. Negative, a villain who had Dark Force and Light Force powers like Cloak and Dagger, and who promised to try and return Jonathan to his normal state. Jonathan later fought Daredevil, who utterly trounced him due to his radar senses, and he also lost and was killed in a fight against the Carnage symbiote, who wanted access to the spotted dimension.
How many times is this guy gonna die?
In that battle, however, it was discovered that whenever Jonathan dies, he is resurrected again in the spotted dimension.
Why?
Just due to the nature of his powers. Powers-wise, the Spot has access to the spotted dimension, which is a crossroads to other points in dimensional space, all through black circular portals that he can manipulate. Several dozen of these portals from that dimension are attached to the Spot's body, rendering him partially intangible like Swiss cheese, where anything that enters the portals passes through it and out at another point. Spot can move and resize these portals around himself and also project them from his body to a fixed point in space within a range of a few blocks or so. Since he doesn't have an unlimited number of these portals available, if he projects enough of them off of his body, he leaves himself vulnerable. Through his portals, he can teleport himself, partially or in whole, to other locations or to the spotted dimension itself. He can also teleport other people or things within his portals, and if he is ever killed, he is resurrected inside the spotted dimension over time. Finally, Spot is also a gifted physicist.
Okay, so he could do one thing that Mirror Master can do, and Mirror Master could also do a whole bunch of other things in addition to that. This should be a good match.
Yeah, but the Spot can do that one thing really well, and I think much more effectively.
We'll see. We'll see.
Mirror Master can't just create mirrors and fix points around the battlefield.
I literally said he could with his mirror gun.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, he has to shoot the mirror gun, though. It doesn't happen like instantaneously like it does with the Spot.
Oh, okay. Well, you got me there, I guess.
There you go.
Well, now that we've got their histories and abilities out of the way, let's speculate on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner is determined by simulations, not the speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this fight could play out. Alfred Jarvis 9000, what are the rules of our speculation?
Well, I should say there are no rules, other than the characters have no prior knowledge of the other going into the fight. All they are aware of starting out is that the other character is a threat that needs to be eliminated. For the speculation, the contestants will begin approximately 50 meters apart in a nondescript environment that will have no bearing on the match itself, as no environmental statistics are considered in my simulations. The contestants must earn victory on their own merit.
All right, then let's get into it. Mirror Master and Spot meet on the battlefield. Who goes first?
All right, I'm going to say that since Mirror Master is a Flash villain, he's used to dealing with like speedy adversaries. So he's going to be pretty quick on the draw, and he's going to start first with a series of laser blasts at the Spot from his mirror gun.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. But those laser shots are going to go right through the portals on Spot's body, and they're going to come out a different portal on his body, which is going to look like this cool laser show emanating from Spot's body with like lasers flying everywhere.
Oh, including out of his ass? That black hole?
Yeah, yep, including from there. And one of these lasers is going to get redirected at Mirror Master himself, essentially causing Mirror Master to shoot himself.
Except that before the laser reaches him, Mirror Master is going to pull out like a pocket mirror that reflects the laser back at the Spot.
Okay, and that laser would just get blocked by a portal that the Spot whips out, and the laser's going to go through that portal and then back out through a portal that's behind Mirror Master, tagging the guy in the back of the head.
This is like the slowest moving laser that has ever existed.
Yeah, it's been bounced back a few times, but ultimately it ends up hitting Mirror Master.
Okay, well, I mean, once Mirror Master is hit, he's just going to shatter into like dozens of glass pieces.
Oh, match over then. Cool.
That's what you think. When the Spot approaches the glass shards to investigate, that's when Mirror Master's hand is just going to like reach through one of the shards with his mirror gun, and he's going to shoot a blinding flash that's going to stun the Spot. And when like the Spot blinks away all of the light, he's going to find himself surrounded by like 20 Mirror Masters.
How did he not die right there? I don't get it.
He's tricky like that.
Okay. But when the Spot is stunned, he's going to fall backwards into a portal that he creates, which is going to take him to the spotted dimension. And it's there where Mirror Master can't reach him. He's going to recuperate. And then like he pokes his head back into the battlefield to see what's going on. And that's when he's going to see 20 Mirror Masters standing around. But he's going to deal with them easily. He's going to open up a portal next to each one of the Mirror Master duplicates' heads. And he's just going to quickly just punch all of them in the face. Like reverse whack-a-mole, where the mole hits you.
I mean, except all that happens now is the Spot's hand is like cut up from all the broken glass that's created when he punches these Mirror Master reflections. And so like, Spot's fist is now covered in glass shards. And within those, he sees Mirror Master laughing at him.
Well, I mean, like, one of these Mirror Master duplicates has to be the real Mirror Master and not just a glass reflection duplicate.
Oh, you think?
So, yeah. So he punches the real one.
Nope, because the real one's invisible.
Okay.
And Spot, like with his wounded hand covered in glass shards back in the spotted dimension, he's suddenly going to see like 20 versions of himself, and they all jump on him.
Okay, but Spot sees like these duplicates of himself, and he's like, oh, hell no. And so he's going to leave the spotted dimension and come back to the battlefield, escaping them.
Okay, but once he steps foot back onto the battlefield, he's going to step onto a mirror on the ground, and instantly he's going to fall right into it, into the mirror world.
How does he land on a mirror? How did Mirror Master know where the Spot was going to return back to the battlefield?
I mean, he saw the black portal open up and fired a mirror beneath it.
That's so dumb. Mirror Master's so stupid. Okay, so the Spot is in Mirror World. What's that even like?
Oh, good question. I mean, I've seen it portrayed a number of different ways. Like sometimes they're just trapped in glass and could just like see the world around them. But like other ways, they're trapped in like a distorted version of the reality that they came from. But, like since the battlefield environment is nondescript, it's kind of hard to say what it's like. Basically, think of it like a kaleidoscopic version of the non-environment. But that's just going to make Spot discombobulated because left is right and right is left. And that's when Mirror Master is just going to run up to him and just clock him right in the jaw, laying him out.
Oh, he punches him in the jaw? You mean like where there's this giant spot on his body?
No.
Well, too bad, because Spot moved one of his dimensional spots there. So Mirror Master's fist goes into Spot's jaw and then back out another portal on Spot's face, which causes Mirror Master to lay his own damn self out. And then Spot is going to transport both of them out of the mirror world into the spotted dimension, where the Spot is going to send a bunch of portals to surround Mirror Master, and then he's just going to beat the shit out of him from all angles in an unrelenting beatdown. And he's going to steal Mirror Master's gun from him too.
Actually, when Spot reaches for Mirror Master's gun, his hand is just going to bounce off of a mirror. And like now he finds himself in a hall of mirrors within the spotted dimension.
What?
And in one of those mirrors, he's going to see Mirror Master holding him, the Spot, in a headlock with like a glass shard held at his throat, which causes the real Spot's throat to open up simultaneously and then bleed out.
What kind of horror movie shit is this? Holy crap.
Yeah.
I think what the Spot actually sees in that reflection is a portal lower over Mirror Master's head so that just Mirror Master's head is in the portal and then the portal closes. So, bam, portal decapitation. That's what he sees. Because, like, in the spotted dimension, the Spot is in control. He can move things around as he sees fit, and no Hall of Mirrors bullshit is going to change that.
Except that the decapitation was an illusion created by Mirror Master to give Spot false hope. They were never back in the spotted dimension. They never left the mirror world where Mirror Master is in control. And Spot's throat is still slit.
Well, actually, that's stupid.
There's no escape.
We'll just call the match there. We'll see which of the scenarios happens. Either Mirror Master is in the spotted dimension and has a portal take his head off, or Spot is in the mirror world and gets his throat slit.
That's violent.
Well, they are bad guys. But we're going to input the character stats, have AJ9000 run the simulations, and come back with a winner.
Take it away, AJ9000.
Inputting data, running calculations, processing results, simulations complete.
All right, that was an interesting fight. I knew it was going to be really difficult to kind of like speculate on how the match was going to go, but Mirror Master just has way too many weird shit that he can do. It was like fighting Mysterio.
Yeah, that's sort of what I wanted it to be like.
Yeah, this felt kind of similar to that. Although, you know, the Spot is a pretty cool, versatile character, like on his own. It's just that when you put him in this, like, all this strangeness, it gets a little bit hard for him to be as effective as he usually is. It's just so damn bizarre.
I agree. But you mentioned Spot's versatility. He was versatile, but not as versatile as Mirror Master. And that's one of the stat categories that Mirror Master came out on top.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, really the two things that the Spot can do to you is harm you physically through punches and kicks and trap you within his dimension. All of his abilities are basically riffs on those two things. Whereas Mirror Master can freaking shoot you with a laser gun. He can stab you with glass, trap you in the mirror world, cause you to see illusions,
blind you,
all kinds of stupid shit. But yeah, versatility was actually the biggest discrepancy between their stat categories. Another noticeable difference was in perception.
Yeah, considering the fact that Mirror Master can see and hear through reflective surfaces, and he could also see into the past through his mirrors.
So random. Spot, though, was more evasive. Spot is really damn near almost intangible. And we said Spot was smarter than Mirror Master. Both of them could be considered insanely quick, considering they're pretty near instantaneous teleporters and they can like duplicate themselves after a sense. Although Spot can more accurately be described as partial duplication.
Yeah, and when it came down to stats like durability and strength, we said they were par for the course. And the same came to range. Surprisingly, I thought Mirror Master was going to take the edge on range, but the Spot can create his portals pretty far away.
Yep.
So taking all of the stats into consideration, who do you think came out on top?
Spot.
Oh, you think so, huh?
I think that Spot is going to win at least a few of these simulated matches. So, yeah, Spot. And, you know, a lot of Instagram agrees with me. 55% of our poll takers said that Spot is going to take this over a Mirror Master, which makes sense.
I feel like the Marvel guys keep winning that Instagram poll. Like, when's the last time a DC guy won that poll? It's been a while.
Well, there are just more Marvel fans out there in the world in general.
The fools!
So it stands to reason that we would have more Marvel fans following us on Instagram and voting in that poll.
DC Nation, I know you guys are out there. You got to rise up. Got to vote in that poll.
DC Nation is too ambivalent about their own universe. So,
well, they shouldn't be because we're winners.
Are you?
Let's find out. AJ9000, the results, please.
Here you are, sir.
The winner in the matchup between Mirror Master and Spot is Mirror Master by 71.4% of the 1,000 matches.
71. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's not 75. So
No.
that's cool.
There's that.
Yeah.
Spot won 286 of the 1,000 matches, or 28.6% of the time.
So roughly over a quarter of the matches, Spot wins, and almost 3/4 of the time, Mirror Master wins.
Yeah, this was not a close match.
Well, whose idea was this match anyway? I'm going to blame the executive producers on this one. Actually, I think I was the one that pushed for this.
Actually, I think it might have been Miggy, but I was all
it?
for it.
Well, somebody signed off on it when they weren't necessarily supposed to. I know that I was at least excited to touch on the Spot, considering that, he's going to be in the upcoming Spider-Verse film.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to come up with a matchup for him. I still think this was an interesting matchup, if not entirely well-balanced.
Well, Mirror Master is just too damn weird, Like, any fight going up against Mirror Master is going to be weird, and it really leaves me curious about how he's going to play a factor in the upcoming team duel.
Oh yeah,
against the Brotherhood of Mutants.
That's gonna be a lot of fun. You don't stand a chance.
Hey, you think so, huh? I'm gonna beat the shit out of him in the speculation just for fun. But I think that does it for this duel. Guys, let us know what you thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Instagram or Twitter. You can find links to all of our accounts by checking out our show notes or visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And on our site, you can also find a link to our Patreon page, where you can join our Dynamic 2.0 tier and chat with us and fellow listeners, our Fantastic 4 tier, which gets you bonus content each month, or our X-Force tier that makes you an executive producer of this podcast. If you can't join Patreon, you could still support the show by signing up for our e-newsletter, also at dynamicduel.com.
Or you can help us out by rating our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or on our website itself. Next week, it was supposed to be the Team Duel episode. I will be out of town, unfortunately. Sorry, guys, but we're going to review the latest DC animated film, which is Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham, which is actually a Mike Mignola story from the comics, Mike Mignola being the creator of Hellboy. So it's kind of like a Hellboy-esque Batman tale that I'm interested in watching and seeing what it's all about.
Yeah, you could describe it as Lovecraftian, I would say. It's pretty cool.
So look forward to that next week, and then the week after, we're going to find out who'd win between the Flash Rogues and the Brotherhood of Mutants. But that does it for this episode. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, Ken Johnson,
John Starosky,
Zachary Hepburn,
Dustyn Balcom,
Miggy Matanguihan,
Brendan Estergard,
Nathaniel Wagner,
Levi Yeaton,
Nick Abanto,
Austin Wesolowski,
AJ Dunkerley,
Scott Camacho,
Gil Camacho,
and Adam Speas for helping make this podcast possible. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Up, and away.
True believers. And I think we should also have Alfred Jarvis 9000 sign off on this episode too, considering he is a part of this podcast. So, AJ, go ahead and give us some parting words.
It is my duty to please that booty.